Hi, Bridge City. Are you ready for the sex talk? Happy Sunday and welcome to our NSFW series. This is your weekly touch point for community, connection, and conversation. Now, wherever you're joining us from, whether it be the live, hey, or a local watch party, the global campus, or even catching this video on replay, we're truly glad you're here. Now, Bridge City's mission is simple. We're here to connect better, build better, and live better. And our values are clear. We're forward-thinking, people-centric, and life-affirming. And our why is at the heartbeat of it all. Everything we do revolves around the reality that people matter. This isn't a place for pretending certainty. It's a place for honest thinking, shared responsibility, and intentional connection. So if this is your first time here, welcome. You don't have to agree to everything, and you don't have to have it all figured out. You're here, and that's what matters. And of course, we hope this experience brings you back next week. Now, to all of our guests, we have a free gift for you. Think of it as a small token of our appreciation and a helpful tool for navigating connection in real time. Follow the link on screen now and claim your gift whenever you're ready. And if this is already home for you, thank you for continuing to build with us. Community like the one we're building right now doesn't happen by accident. It happens because people like you choose connection over isolation whenever you show up. Okay, so now the big one. This series is called NSFW, and it's a little different than our usual series. Because sex, sexuality, intimacy, desire, shame, secrecy, consent, boundaries, rational complexity are not simple subjects. These are deeply personal. These concepts are shaped by memory, culture, religion, family, trauma, media, misinformation, and of course, your lived experience. For this series, we're not approaching the conversation from a posture of preaching or pretending. We're not going to pretend we have one neat answer that's going to fit everyone. With this series, we're creating a space for brave, honest, and non-judgmental conversation. We're asking what it means to understand our bodies, our boundaries, desires, histories. What do relationships mean beyond purity culture and patriarchal conditioning? Beyond the pop culture distortion and performative liberation. The goal isn't to sensationalize sex. The goal isn't to normalize it. And the goal is not to condemn everything. The goals are to become more mature, more humane, more self-aware, and more responsible in how we think about sexuality, intimacy, vulnerability, power, and harm. So before we get deep into it, let's take it over to the Bridge City News. There's a lot of growing, shifting, and unfolding, so I want you guys to all be in the loop. And in light of our NSFW series, I want to take a moment to shout out some of the amazing women in our community. Women who show up, contribute, support, encourage, women who make Bridge City feel like home. We see you, we appreciate you, and Bridge City is better because you're a part of it. Now, as you've heard, our global campus is under construction, and that's a good thing. Growth requires room, and we got some room to fill. We've officially launched our lobby, your one-stop shop for navigating the Bridge City experience. From there, you can find the Welcome Center, the Event Center, the Business Center, and more as we continue expanding our campus to support our growing community. So if you haven't yet, drop by, have a look around, see if anything interests you. Oh, and have you thought about hosting a watch party? Have you ever been watching a Sunday session and thought, I wish this was happening in my city? Well, a watch party might be that first step. Watch parties are small, in-person gatherings where friends, family, local community get together and watch Sunday sessions, have meaningful conversation, and build relationships around the mission and message of Bridge City. Visit the link on screen now to learn everything you need to start, host, and lead a watch party in your area. Now, let's talk about my favorite part of the community, our clubs. This month, we've launched 2 new clubs, our book club and our Conventions and Festivals Club. First, let's talk about our book club. Whether you're a lifelong reader or someone who's finally getting a chance to tackle the stack on your nightstand, pull up a chair. This isn't a club where everyone has to read the same book at the same time. Think of it as a shared library corner where you can show us what you're reading, swap thoughts, share big ideas, talk about wild plot twists, and pass along the quiet lines that stuck with you. And then there's our Conventions and Festivals Club. This is a space for people who love major social events. Music festivals, fandom conventions, seasonal celebrations, cultural gatherings, and unforgettable experiences. Share where you've been, what you loved, what you learned, and maybe even drop some memorable photos from your adventures. As the community grows, this can also become a space where we imagine and organize gatherings of our own. Keep eyes out for Bridge City conventions. So whether you're reading a book, planning a trip, attending a festival, or dreaming up the next Bridge City meetup, there's a place and space for you to connect. And I see you, new members. Since the start of the year, over 117 people have joined Bridge City, and we could not be more excited. We know joining a new community, especially online, can be overwhelming. That's why we've been intentionally building a campus experience that helps orientate you, connect you, and make it easier to understand all that Bridge City is becoming. So if you haven't already, visit the new member area, complete your next steps, introduce yourself, and start making the most out of your member experience in your new community. At Bridge City, membership matters. Every new connection is a small step to a better world. And are you ready to get involved? Visit our Teams page to explore the growing number of opportunities that help you do the work of community. As we move from conceptual to operational, we need volunteers who are ready to be the bridge so people can see the vision. Volunteering isn't just about helping your community look good. It's how we empower the community to actually do good. Every volunteer helps expand our capacity to support members, build relationships, host events, create resources, and mobilize around our mission in real time. Visit the link on screen to explore opportunities to get involved. And if you don't see something that fits, be sure to reach out to our team. Every second Tuesday of the month is Giving Tuesday at Bridge City. Now, you all know how we do things here. We don't collect tithes, we don't collect dues, and we don't use guilt as a motivator. But this community is sustained by regular, intentional generosity by people who believe this vision is worth building. So Giving Tuesday is about funding the freedom. It helps us keep showing up every Sunday, expanding the global campus, supporting new members. It helps us create the type of community where people can choose association over isolation. Now, we can't offer you a mansion in the afterlife in exchange for your gift. But what we can offer is continued community, expanding resources, and the collective power to change the world in real time. So if this mission matters to you, visit the link on screen and help us keep building. Your generosity is making this possible. Thank you for building with us. So that's about everything for this week. If you haven't yet, this is a perfect opportunity to share the stream before the conversation really starts. Let's do the YouTube things. Be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Oh, and once the stream is done, be sure to drop a comment below. As always, thank you for being the bridge. Now, Darante, take it away with today's conversation.
Welcome in, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. How are you doing this afternoon? Listen, as you're coming in, make sure to like, share, subscribe, and all of those good things. But most importantly, make sure you introduce yourself in the chat. Let us know where you're watching from. You could be watching with your neighbor. Listen, we've been doing this little thing for the past actually since the start of this year. We've been doing this thing for everyone who is a first-time guest. So check this out. If this is your first time here, guess what? We have a gift for you. And I just updated the gift, so it's a surprise. You've never seen this one before. This is, if you're a guest here, if you're a first-time guest here, we love to get this gift in your hand. It's a wonderful new tool to learn something a little bit more about Bridge City and the work that we've been doing so far this year. So you can go to the link on the screen to get there. All right, y'all got that? And I see we got Decatur. Come on now. Decatur where it's greater. You know, I'm not mad. Okay, I'm going to talk a little bit about Decatur today. Not a lot, but I'm going to mention it. So that's just really cool. So it's so glad to see you all coming in. Again, introduce yourselves. Let us know where you're watching from. And then those of you who are in the community, man, show these people some love, man. We're so glad to have them with us here today for NSFW Part 3. Also, just very quickly, y'all, I know I haven't mentioned this before. Well, I probably have. I turned 40 this week, you know, so I'm officially old enough to be an adult now. I'm a grown man this week. I turned 40 this week. It's only downhill from here, they say. No, let me stop. I'm 40. I'm fine. I'm fantastic, and I'm fitting to go. So I hope y'all are ready for today's conversation. Also, real quickly before we jump in, starting this Tuesday, and this is something I'm incredibly excited about. Starting this Tuesday, the Music Club will be hosting songwriting sessions. So songwriting sessions are going to meet the third Tuesday of the month to turn inspiration into song. You'll be writing lyrics, shaping melodies, and sharpening our creative craft. This is your space to collaborate, to give and receive feedback, and grow as a musician. Sessions will be primarily focused on collaborating for Bridge City projects, such as the music that you hear playing oftentimes during our sessions. But there will also be time for workshopping personal projects as well. So listen, y'all, I am, as a musician, as a songwriter, as a person who used to be a worship leader, like, this is exciting to me because that is one of the things that I miss about religious community, is that as a creative, I always had somewhere to be involved with creative projects, whether it was plays, whether it was the dance team, I was stepping, doing all of that. You know, I had opportunity to be involved, and Bridge City is now being able to create those opportunities without pressuring anybody to conform, without making anybody have to give up their intellectual integrity. So, I'm excited. So y'all make sure y'all be looking out for the songwriting sessions every third Tuesday of the month. Check those out. And if you're a creative, if you're a person who likes to write music, if you're a person who likes to sing music, if you're a person who likes to produce music, it's a great opportunity for you to get more involved with the Music Club. Y'all hear me? All right. Now, so speaking of Music Club, that's going to be hosted by our club organizer, which is Jude. So speaking of Jude, if y'all know, we normally have music every Sunday, and it's music that either I've written or Zernial's written or other members in the community has written. And because we're growing as a community, people are joining. They're like, hey, I want to sing that. And so that's exactly what we did. So for the song for this series, NSFW, the song is called Vessel. Today, just like last week, we have Jude singing it for us. Would y'all put your hands together in any way that you can in chat and show your love for Jude singing Vessel, and I'll be right back.
What's my name, fool? I don't need you to justify my love, to justify my skin, to justify or mystify this human that I'm in. I don't need you to sanctify my purity or defend my security. I am invested in my surety. What's my name? I came already. Can you see me now? Can you see me? Can you feel me now? Can you feel me? Can you hear me now? Can you see me now? What's my I'm not your vessel for your shame games. I no longer hold the blame, yeah. What's my name? I'm not your vessel for your same game. I no longer hold the blame. What's my name? I'm not a victim of yours. I'm not a target of yours. I'm not a vessel for your shame. What's my name?
What an incredible performance. What an incredible what an incredible presentation. Oh man, that excites me so much because this is the truth of what we can do as a community. We can be as provocative as we want to be as long as we're doing it with care. And man, that thing was written excellently. It was performed excellently. It was produced excellently. I am so proud of our community. And like, listen, y'all ain't seen nothing else. We're gonna be doing everything. We're gonna be doing rock, hip hop, R&B. We're doing it all. Polka music. Y'all ain't ready. Y'all listen. Y'all ain't ready. All right. Speaking of ready, let's go ahead and jump into this. We're in this series called "Not Safe for Work" or "Not Suitable for Work," or watch this, "Not Safe for Weak Minds," where we're talking about sex, dating, and unlearning the script. We've been in this conversation for 3 weeks now, and it's just been absolutely amazing. So I do want to kind of give you this overview, which I've been doing every week, just to make sure we're all situated, acclimated, acculturated, and oriented, and whatever other word you want to add there to the subject at hand and to how we're approaching this. So the objective of Not Safe for Work is to create a brave, honest, non-judgmental conversation space where people can examine sex, sexuality, intimacy, desire, shame, secrecy, consent, boundaries, and relational complexity beyond purity culture, patriarchal conditioning, religious guilt, pop culture distortion, and performative liberation. Okay. Rather than preaching a fixed sexual ethic, this series invites participants to think critically, speak carefully, listen compassionately, and explore how sexual norms shape identity, relationships, power, vulnerability, and harm. Now, as Ashley said in the opening, the goal is not to sensationalize sex, nor is the goal to normalize everything, nor is the goal to condemn everything. The goal here is to help people develop more mature, humane, self-aware, and responsible ways of understanding their bodies, their boundaries, their desires, their histories, and most importantly, their relationships. And that's really the segue of why Brit City is even having this conversation. A major part of our mission as a community, and you can probably beat me to it in the chat, is to help people do what? Connect better, build better so that we can ultimately live better. And that means helping people develop more mature, humane, self-aware, and responsible ways of understanding those relationships, even the sexy ones, even the freaky links. Okay, now even the friends with benefits. Y'all better talk to me. I can go on and on and on. No, I want to understand all my relationships, even the relationships that I don't even. No, okay, let's go. All right, so NSFW is a 4-week moderated conversation series designed to explore deeply personal, socially complicated, and often shame-loaded realities of human sexuality. This series intentionally shifts away from a traditional teaching format. That's not my goal. My goal is not, or my role is not to be preacher. My role is not to be lecturer. My role is not to be moral authority in any way in this conversation. In this conversation, I am simply moderator, witness, and social commentator. The emphasis is on opening up this space for all of us to participate in guided reflection, naming harm, reducing shame, and inviting people into more honest conversation. So at its heart, NSFW asks, what would it look like to talk about sex in a way that is honest without being reckless, okay? That is vulnerable without being invasive, liberated without being predatory, and moral without being moralistic. So let's jump into week 3. Our objective for week 3 is to examine how boundaries become blurred lines through patriarchy, through power imbalance, social conditioning, entitlement, coercion, and a new term I've been introduced to, performative horniness. We're going to talk a little bit about it. It's not going to be the whole conversation, but we're going to talk about it. This weekend explores the difference between desire and entitlement, flirtation and pressure, attraction and objectification, freedom and predation. In 2013, Robin Thicke, Pharrell, and T.I. released one of the biggest songs of the year. Do y'all remember what it was called? Blurred Lines. It was catchy. It was everywhere. Clubs, radio, parties, commercials. You couldn't escape it. Like, I remember the song. This is the year before I deconverted, and it was like, baby, can you breathe? I got this from Jamaica. It always works for me. Dakota to Decatur. No more pretending, cause now you in it. Here's our beginning. I always wanted a good girl. Da, 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 but I know you want it. Da, da, I know you want it. I know. And just like that, immediately, the song became controversial. Now, interestingly enough, I don't actually remember the controversy because at the time, I wasn't actually in that world. I remember the song, but I wasn't in that world. So I didn't even know there was, when I heard about the controversy, I just thought that they were talking about that he was being sued by Marvin Gaye's family. But there was a controversy because a lot of people heard something underneath the song. They heard something underneath that groove other than Marvin Gaye. They heard a song where sexual pursuit sounded less like mutual desire and more like entitlement. Critics especially focused on the repeated phrase, I know you want it. I know you want it. I know you want it. Okay. Arguing that it echoed the kind of language people use when they assume consent instead of seeking it. You know, some universities reportedly banned the song from student events. And Pharrell later distanced himself from the song, saying the backlash helped him recognize forms of misogyny he had not fully seen at the time. And this is the big thing. This is the big thing. For Pharrell, it wasn't even about the song anymore. It wasn't even about the song. The backlash from the song opened his eyes to a problem with culture itself, a culture where desire gets confused with permission, where confidence gets confused with pressure, where flirting gets confused with access, where I'm just joking becomes a shield for predatory behavior, where sex positivity gets misused to make people feel guilty for having boundaries, where the person crossing the line gets to say, relax, while the person who feels unsafe is told that they're overacting. So this is the question that we're sitting with this weekend. When does sexual expression become sexual entitlement? Because not every awkward moment is predatory. No. And not every misread signal is malicious. Not every joke is abuse, but predators often hide inside ambiguity. Entitled people often benefit from confusion, and unsafe cultures are often built not by one obvious red flag, but by 1,000 moments where people are pressured to ignore their discomfort in order to seem cool, mature, liberated, or even open-minded. So we are not here to create a sexually repressed space, but we are here to ask what makes a space sexually responsible. Because a sexually open culture always, or a sexually open culture must allow honest conversation. But a sexually unsafe culture pressures people to tolerate discomfort. And if your version of sexual liberation makes people afraid to say no, embarrassed to say stop, or ashamed to name discomfort, that's not liberation. That's just patriarchy with better branding. And that's why today we're talking about blurred lines. That's today's conversation. All right. So, as we've been doing throughout this entire series, the goal is to be more interactive than instructional. So guess what? From this point on, I need you in the game. Are you ready to be in the game? You know how they say you got to have some skin in the game? I need to see your skin in the game. Since you're willing to show up, I need you to be willing to share. If you're going to show something, you got to share. Okay, I'm going to stop. But the big point is I'm going to need your participation here. This is where my notes kind of end, and this is where the conversation actually begins. All right. So this week will be, it's going to be direct but careful. So this might become one of the strongest sessions because it addresses a major issue in secular, religious, and online spaces. People often use openness, sex positivity, free speech, edginess, or even the excuse of I'm just joking to excuse behavior that makes people feel, make other people feel unsafe. Now, I was actually introduced to a new phrase by one of the members in our community. That's something that they were beginning to experience in a lot of niche online spaces. And I love the phrase, and it was performative horniness. Have y'all ever heard of performative horniness before? Thank you, sir. Yes. Yeah. Performative horniness is the repeated public display of sexual boldness, desire, or innuendo in ways that centers the performer's ego, image, or entitlement rather than mutual interest, consent, care, and context. So now this phrase is useful because it names something very real. People who constantly sexualize the room, not because intimacy is happening, but because they are performing sexual availability, dominance, edginess, masculinity, liberation, or desirability. All right. And so that's why I think conversations like this are so important, because this weekend we want to unpack the difference between a sexually open culture and a sexually unsafe culture. Okay. A sexually open culture allows honest conversation. A sexually unsafe culture pressures people to tolerate sexual discomfort to prove they're cool, liberated, mature, or that they are not prudish. So I want to ask this question. This is the first chat question of the day. And again, I'm going to need your participation. Okay. What I need from you is participation. All right. Y'all ready? See that? I did a little ditty to it. I did a little ditty. Do a little dance. Make a little love. All right. So what I need from you is participation. The first chat question of today is, why do many spaces confuse sexual openness with sexual access? And I want to see, what are your thoughts? Let's talk about this in the chat. I'm going to be looking at the chat for you and what you're saying. Inverse of the usual form. I like that. Yep. Fetishism of sexual availability. Ooh, yes. Why do many spaces confuse sexual openness with sexual access? This is something I've watched from a like sitting on the sidelines, just kind of watching in different spaces. And I've had to say, oh, this is going to be problematic. This is going to be problematic in many ways if we don't get a ethic around this, if we don't get a culture around this. I like this because society as a whole has not properly defined either term. That is so true. We were taught not to talk about it or do it. Yeah. So the assumption is that you were talking about, come on now, you're doing it. Oh yeah. Oh, that's so good. I like it took me a minute for that to register, but then it kicked like, no, we're taught not to talk about it or do it. So the assumption is that if you're talking about it, you must be doing it. If you're talking about it, you must be into it. If you even desire it, then that must be permission for me. Like, no, you doing it. And y'all know I've kind of thrown this in here throughout this entire conversation, starting with week one, based off of something that someone, told me their grandmother told them when they was a little girl, and that's anything you're willing to show, you're willing to share. See, that's confusing openness with access. Come on now. I love this. I wouldn't know. I'm a rather randy person. I don't play around. I am not mad at that. Shame and sacred and all or nothing assumption. Yeah. I was told that what you wear is an advertisement for what kind of attention you want. Yes. Come on. Oh, this is so good. Okay, see that was, yeah. If you're willing to show it, you must be willing to share it. All right? Okay. Okay. And that's like almost like, no, if the store is open, that surely I can just go in there and take anything that I want out of there without paying for it. It's like, no. So there are a lot of spaces. And what I love that we just kind of brought through the chat, and this is why I like these conversations, is that this is stuff that we bring to the room with us. See, the room doesn't have to create it. I'm talking good now. The room doesn't have to create it. These are the things that we bring into the room because shame has kept so many of these conversations in the shadows of secrecy that again, just going back, and I probably need to go back a little bit. But it now becomes, since we're talking about it, everybody must want it. And it's like, no, I'm trying to be open, not invaded. Oh, this is good. Can I please be open without being invaded, without permission? Like an invasion requires an invitation, Okay. Okay. Let me get in here. It's perceived as an invitation for anybody. See y'all too much. I'm fat too, and I love Atlanta, and ATL loves me a little too much sometimes. Get it, honey badger. Remember, they used to say the only things open after midnight are legs. So even the people that were teaching you assume something to shame you away from assumed behavior. Dang. Performative consumption and signaling is not limited to sex. You are so right. It just becomes explicitly dangerous. That's a really good point. I've literally caused 3 car accidents by just bending over to tie my shoes. You got people out here rubbernecking. Oh my goodness, to get out my bus fast. And as a third shifter, yes, I learned that there are a lot of things open after midnight, like my job. Being open without being invaded, weapon of mass destruction. Y'all are too much. I did. Y'all see that? But and again, shameless plug here. This is why we have to build local communities where we can be having these conversations in real time. Because I need people. We all need to be on a panel together having this conversation. So the audience, so I can put the mic to you and be like, no, tell us more about that. Like, this is good. But this is stuff that we often bring into the room with us, and it's not always, watch this, it's not always the sexual openness leads to sexual access for a person who may be predatory, or for a person who may be bad at misreading signals, or a person who may have been, cultivated in this type of culture. But it also becomes a problem for onlookers. because then you say stuff like, well, they were dressed like that, so I figured they likely wanted that type of attention. And that's confusing sexual openness with sexual access. And this is a conversation that I've definitely started saying, like, yeah, that we've got to platform this in our community. We've got to talk about the difference between sexual openness with sexual access, because free thinking does kind of lead to free loving. You are less restricted in your approach to sexuality. You are less restricted in your approach to relationships, but that doesn't mean you want to be less safe. That doesn't mean you want to be less protected. That doesn't mean you want to be less considered. It doesn't mean you want to be less cared for. And so we have to find a way where we take it out of the shadows, where we deprive it of its sting of shame, so that we can actually, now we're going to have sexual openness, but access is something that always requires consent, invitation, permission, and relationship. Oh man, okay. So dang, this is good. Sexual openness is also not consent. That's right. Got some really bad jokes, man. Oh man. All right. We never talk about when men feel uncomfortable or ashamed or afraid of in sexual situations. Heck yeah, because it happens. It happens. All right. So that's the cultural problem. Let's move on to question number 2. Are y'all ready? I told you this is us all day today. We all in this today. Are y'all ready? So the first one was the cultural problem. The second one is the power problem. And here it is. How does patriarchy and hierarchy shape whose desires get centered and whose discomfort gets minimized? And women can be mean. You are not wrong. Man, how do patriarchy and hierarchy shape whose desire gets centered and whose discomfort gets minimized? And I think, and I hope I can say this right, a good thought experiment around this is the way that we use words. And I want you to know that patriarchy cuts both ways, right? It cuts like all of the ways. But I want you to think about the way that we sexualize others. And when I first was doing this thought experiment, I was thinking about the way men sexualize women. But then I had to, like, because I sit in nuance, don't be mad at me. I also realized, I come from a culture where men were also sexualized by women and by the culture. And so the bigger language to me became, we have a problem where culture sexualizes people. And so, like, and this is just a small example, but you think of something like, you see a beautiful, person of the sex that you like, and they are dressed in a way that we'd call revealing or not conservative or open. That shirt is really short. Why is she showing her belly button? You look at those things, and so there's one group of people who immediately look at those things through the lens of patriarchy as, oh, you're degrading yourself, you're doing this. But then there's another lens of patriarchy that's like, oh, that's sexy, you're sexy. And then so I look at it, that's a small thing, very small thing. And I'm not saying you shouldn't use the word sexy. Some people want to be sexy. Okay, I like being sexy. I like being called sexy. Ain't nothing wrong with being called sexy. That's not the point. The point is, what happens when we trap people into that language that has now reduced you to how you look to me, to how you turn me on, as opposed to anything else about you. We don't even have that type of relationship. Okay, so the question is, how do patriarchy and hierarchy shape whose desires get centered and whose discomfort gets minimized? Well, she was looking sexy looking. I thought she wanted the compliment. Okay, so let's go. Let me see what we got here. Mocking the size. Yep. Down with patriarchy. Yep. We created equal. I like it. If you want to destroy a man, make fun of them in the bedroom. Yeah, please don't make fun of people in the bedroom. Man, having the conversation is not consent until you have the conversation. Habanero. Keeping in mind that patriarchy is a form of hierarchy, square, square rectangle situation. Yeah, hierarchy creates categories of who should be considered people and those who just react. That's kind of good, man. The person in power emotions needs wasn't or pure first. Okay, got it. The person in power emotions needs and wants are put first. Yep. Under patriarchy, a woman's value is reduced to her function as a sexual and reproductive object. Women aren't allowed to be horny, apparently. Good morning, party people. Welcome in, Ashley. Yes. Okay. So yeah, patriarchy and hierarchy play a shape in and whose desire gets centered and whose discomfort gets minimized. I remember growing up watching a movie called, I think it was called Great Balls of Fire, and it was about, I may be saying his name wrong, Jerry Lee Lewis, was that his name? But of course, if I remember correctly, I think he married his cousin, and I think his cousin was Winona Ryder in that movie. But anyway, and she was underage, so it's a little weird. There's a lot of things going on there. But he married his cousin. But there's a scene in the movie where he's upset at her because she's experienced in the bedroom, or she seems to be experienced. I don't know how he came to the conclusion, because this was in the 80s or the 90s, so they didn't show that much back then. But something happened in that bedroom where he came out of. It's like, wait a minute. You told me you had never been with anybody before. How are you doing all of that? So something happened in there. And the thing is, I realized at that moment, even as a kid, I was like, oh, wow. So there's this like subculture where women are not allowed to be experienced or advanced, even if they are experienced and advanced. They just got to pretend like they not, like this is the first time, or whatever. So that's another example of how patriarchy and hierarchy shape whose desire gets centered and whose discomfort gets minimalized. But we can see a lot of that in purity culture as well, right? And the language of purity culture is saving yourself for your husband, or saving yourself for the one. That's the other side that it cuts over that. And at that moment, a person you ain't even met yet, their desire is getting centered over your discomfort. You see, like it plays in so many ways. Yes. Come on, Brittany. I love this. We always have to be aware that women keep up patriarchy. It's all about the hierarchy of men. The only person who can keep a man on a pedestal is a woman. Dang, y'all preaching. Yeah, okay. Yeah, see, this is why we need more local spaces. Okay, we need more local spaces so we can be having these conversations in real time, and we can be passing these mics around, man. Because listen, conversation is the basic building block of community. All right, you want to actually build with people, and I'm just giving you some secret sauce right here. You want to actually build with people, start having conversations with them. Okay. So now I've said, and people thought I was being funny. People thought I was being funny. And I'm like, no, I'm not being funny. This is just the physics. I'm not being funny. This is just the physics. People have asked me before, okay, like Darante, what can I do? What can I do? How can I be in more conversations with you? And I'm like, the best way to get in more conversations with me is to be on the team and to be as productive as you can be. And those are the people who get the most conversations with me. And because they get the most conversations with me, we build a stronger relationship. So I have a strong relationship with Ashley. I have a strong relationship with Zernil. But these people are damn near giving full-time hours. Hello, they're giving damn near full-time hours, 32 hours, damn near 40 hours a week in support of the work that we do. There's always something to talk about, but that gets built through relationship. Man, okay. And so there are so many things that get assumed instead of cooperated, instead of collaborated. And so this is a part of how we've done hierarchy. It's a part of how we've done patriarchy, where, okay, let me get back in it. Oh, Yes, there are so many wonderful perspectives in our communities. Oh, dang, that's actually a good one, man. That's actually a good one. Talk to our members. Talk to, like, and of course, y'all know that's been something I've been pushing for damn near 2 years. Like, oh, please talk to the people in this community because that's what makes this community grow. The more people having conversations within this community, the more sustainable the community comes because then we're actually capable of catching people with care consistently. Okay. All right, this is good. This is good. Are y'all ready for question number 3? So we've talked about the cultural problem. We've talked about the power problem. Question number 3, and then we're going to get ready to switch over to polls. What does healthy sexual communication actually require? And this is how we get to the boundaries problem. This is how we get to the blurred lines problem. What does healthy sexual communication actually require? You know, what does healthy sexual communication actually require? You know, what are y'all talking about? Big part of my expectations. I have very high expectations. Worth thinking about. Yes, that is real. Like, I think this is just me being me. I think one of the biggest problems of cultural superstitions is that it has created a heteronormative way or a homogenized view of society, a homogenized view of what people should want and what people should need. And so then we determine what normal expectations are. And then any expectations outside of that are either abnormal or, watch this, the other extreme of that, oh, you're not being normal, or watch this, high value. So we create these things. And I'm like, one thing that I've always, or not even always, but one thing I've just kind of come to the conclusion of is that I think the only assumption we can settle on safely is the assumption that different people like different things. And so if we can live there, that different people want different things, then instead of me trying to force everybody else to want what I want, I'm just looking for people who like some of the same things that y'all ain't ready for me today. Yeah, because this is why, and we kind of talked about this last week. This is where the safety part of the conversation comes from. If it's assumed that only cheaters want polyamorous relationships, then there is no safe space for someone to say, I would like a polyamorous relationship without being labeled as a cheater. Is this good? And so I think healthy sexual communication is almost impossible until we remove the assumptions around homogenized sexual behavior or homogenized sexual relationship. Let me come back to the chat. I see y'all been going. I like that. I have standards, but I don't have expectations. Oh, I know this. Honestly, honesty, but listening. Yeah. Active listening and respect. When someone feels safe to explore, to be curious, that's when sex can be a journey together instead of pressure. Oh, and see, I gotta call something out in that. That's so good. Then sex could be a journey together instead of a pleasure, instead of just pressure. Because one of the seriously major flaws, one of the big flags on the play that I'm calling that patriarchal society has done with sex is it made sex the finish line. It made missionary style sex the finish line. This is it. Me on top of you, you on top of me. This is the finish line. This is it. And so instead of sex becoming a journey of exploration between two or more individuals, sex becomes something that is already explicitly defined. And if you think I'm playing just to be facetious, in places that I live and live in the city that I live, the state that I live, I think it's still on the law that technically things like fellatio and cunnilingus are still illegal here. Now, thankfully, nobody's checking for that. But I mean, the way things are turning, I think we need to get that off the books as soon as possible, But yeah, so a major part of, and see, and that's what I mean, and that's what I mean when I say I don't know if we can get to healthy sexual communication until we remove the assumptions that everybody has to want the same things to be normal. I have to have some bit of room to get to know you. I have to have some bit of curiosity to want to know. Y'all, I'm talking better than you responded. Otherwise, I'm expecting everybody who comes into my life to fit into the box that I was born into. And therefore, sex becomes a finish line and not a journey. Thank you for sharing that, Ashley, because that was like that was a good jump off point. Okay, so I gotta get back in here. I think I scrolled the wrong way. Normative, yeah, to create the assumption of a position is the normal one. Yes. I like any effective communication, one must be honest about their own motives. Without that honesty, power disparity is baked into the interaction. Oh, without that honesty, it's there. Yeah, that's so damn good. Yep, this is why we need the mics, man. We need to be in a local place with the mics. People need to be able to have honest conversations with who they're attracted to. Absolutely. Honesty and willingness to let things get a little awkward occasionally. Can you let things get a little awkward occasionally? Can you breathe in the awkwardness? You know, the first time she says she wants to touch your booty hole, can you breathe in the awkwardness? No, that is so good, Jude. Thank you. Fear of embarrassment shouldn't overrule the possibility of violating someone's autonomy. Damn, this is some good stuff. And again, that's the whole point of this series, is not to move from a place of certain expertise, but to operate in a place of shared experience. Like, this is how we learn from each other. One of my hypotheses in life is that people learn more in conversations than they do in classrooms, curriculum, or courses. If you can get people in conversations, and it don't even have to be with conversations with people who are necessarily experts at the subject matter, just people who are genuinely curious and epistemically humble. Just having those type of conversations can open us up to more experiences, more understanding, giving us more insight, especially of how other people operate, because that's something you got to find out in real life. I'm a furry and polyamorous. I love that. I actually got to look up what furry means. I've heard it a lot, but I don't actually know what it is. But I am going to look it up. I'm going to look it up. People come together and talk about what they want and respect what the others want, needs, and say. Yes. Man, I dated a guy with DID. It was perfect, man. No way. Durka. I like illegal. Well, who we telling on? Right, yo, who's telling on who? You know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, who I would say they who have not sucked the first, cast the first stone. But anyway, because then we got to get creative. Absolutely. You got to have some creativity. People are going to jail for doing something that's there aren't plenty of states, and there are plenty of states that have silly invasive laws like that. Yes. I don't want one position, I want them all. I figured that's what you meant. Yes, there are plenty of states that have silly laws like that. Nobody's touching my booty hole. Well, maybe just to look. Get comfortable with being slightly uncomfortable. That's right. That is absolutely crazy. Government should have never been allowed into the bedroom of consenting adults. I absolutely agree. Sexual deviancy laws, effective weapons of those who would use the law to affect their own relationships. It reinforces the present power dynamic. Come on, man. This is careful. You might be biting off more than you think you could chew. Oh, man. And no means no. That's right. You're pulling back a bloody stump. Oh, my goodness. Dang, y'all are getting in there. The only impure sexual act possible is any act that is done without consent and presence. Sexual impurity includes only no consent and performance over presence. Make love, not war. I love this. Buggery and lawness. Why did that take me back to Game of Thrones? I love this. And so, like, Here's a num. Here, so I think a great way to answer this question: what does healthy sexual communication actually require? I think communication is the answer to that. What and like I'm gonna go on a little small tangent. This is why, like, I wasn't a fan of the book that circulated among Christian communities, and many got really embedded into the mental health community as well. And that was a book called The Five Love Languages. And it was like, we all got different love languages. Somebody's love language is acts of service. Somebody's love language is touching. Somebody's love language is talking. And like my rebuttal to that is like, no, our love language is the language we both agree to speak. Like we both speak English. That's our love language. Okay. Like, why would you be speaking to me? That's not how language works. I don't speak to you in one language and then you speak to me in another language. That's not how language works. This is buffoonery. Like, no. And like, because like one of the number one reasons that leads to divorce and breakdown in relationships are communication problems. And the five languages created 5 new ways for people not to communicate. It just created a whole bunch of passive aggressive relationships. Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to go down that rabbit. I mean, I did. Oh man, I feel like, okay. The concept of sexual purity is antiquated itself. I do 100% agree. Oh man, I love y'all, man. Yeah, I hate the 5 love languages, man. No, like that makes no sense. It makes no sense. I never thought of the 5 love languages like that. Yeah, it's like, no, let's speak the language we speak. Okay, like, no, if we both speak Spanish, that's our love language. let's not be throwing something else up in there. Oh, that consent is like a magic spell for leftists that makes any sexual act okay. That's funny. Orgasms are my happy place. I think that should be a t-shirt. My wife and I was just watching a show that I guess is a fairly new show. It's called Funny AF, and it's a competition of up and coming comedians, I guess. And one of the comedians, his name is Usama, and he was like, his first time having sex is when he stopped being religious. He was like, just the first pump, there is no God, And I just thought that was funny. But I'd love to see a shirt with "Orgasms are my happy place." That is too much. Oh. To disregard complexity, to boil love down to 5 generalities is nutty. It is. And that takes us back to the same thing that I've been putting in here, placing here, is that the problem with communication many times is preemptive assumptions, because preemptive assumptions don't allow for real conversations. They don't allow for healthy conversations. They don't allow for healthy conversations, because sexuality didn't just get tied to our desires. Sexuality became a metaphor for our design. And so then it became where you were designed to do sex specifically certain ways. And so anybody who's trying to do sex outside of that design is deviant. But then once you realize there is no fucking design, or at least that, I ain't trying to push that on you, but for me, I don't see no design. Okay. I don't see no design. The puzzle pieces don't fit. Okay. We just fit them in there anyway. But because I don't see any design, then for me, that removes this idea of preemptive assumption. But that's something we're still wrestling with as a society. Like we haven't. I don't think we've learned. And I'm gonna get off my soapbox in a minute. But I don't think we've learned, like, human rights are human rights, and all of them are human rights. Like, all of them are human rights. Your right to exist while being Black, that's a human right. Your right to exist while being trans, that's a human right. It's all human rights. Your right to want to be in a polyamorous relationship, these are human rights. All of them are human rights. And we have to create culture and community that's willing to support, protect, promote human rights. But yes, the blue pill, yes, yes, and they are all, yes, human rights. Oh man, what a human right is. Yeah, it's all of just humans. Whatever consenting adults want to do with each other is fair game. Leave children and animals out of it. That's right. Animals cannot consent. Okay? Leave them goats alone. Animals cannot consent. That's sad that we have to say that in 2026. It's sad. That's right. Everyone is human to me first. That's right. Let's just start there. You're human, and like we did this series, and I may redo this series. We may redo this series and bring it back to the forefront. But we did this series called How to Human, and that was when I really started wrestling with like, oh snap, we do have a lot of assumptions about how other people should human without knowing anything about them. You know, the great humanist Robert G. Ingersoll said, I will claim no right for myself that I would not gladly extend to someone else, you know? Yes. All right. So this is good. So the big point, healthy sexual communication actually requires communication, not intuition, not vibes, not I feel like she want it, not like, well, you know, when they dress like that, that's what they want. Well, you know, he was wearing them gray sweatpants. You know what he was here for. Like none of that. It like we can speak. Let's do it. We can talk. Let's talk. We can communicate. Let's communicate. Like I get it. I get why we like going by social cues and all of those things, but I think we're at that evolutionary space in our societal development where we're realizing that just like many other of our intuitions, that these intuitions are indeed fallible. So instead of depending on the intuition of social cues or I think they kind of digging me, let's just flat out ask the question, can I put my hand on your ass? All right, let's just flat out ask the question, is that something you're okay with? What does healthy sexual communication actually require? It actually requires healthy communication. I like that. I like that, man. Ooh. Oh, man. The nervous system is just input. Full stop. I have an entire thesis on identity formation and control coming from it. Yes. All right, so for this next segment, we're jumping into our polls, okay? We're going to walk through a few hypothetical scenarios as a community, as a group, and we're going to ask, is this a green flag? Is this a yellow flag? Is this a red flag? Or is this too complicated to decide? You know, green doesn't mean perfect. Yellow doesn't mean evil. Red doesn't mean we know someone's entire character, story, history, or anything like that. And that is something that I do like to caution people on. In today's culture, you don't know anybody until you know somebody. All right. Okay. So what we're practicing is discernment. We're asking, is there mutuality? Is there pressure? Is there power involved? Is someone's discomfort being respected or minimized? And most importantly, what happens after a boundary is communicated? So we're going to start with the first one, and that is, oh, I think I got to do this. Where is it at? I don't see it. Oh, I'm not showing it. That's why I don't see it. And let me move it. I'm moving it up there. Now, for those of you who've not done the polls before, if this is your first time doing a poll with us, these are really easy. Each of the answers has a number beside it. You see that number up there? I'm gonna do this. Just I cover both bases. Do you see that number up there? Okay, that number is for you. Whichever number you align with. If you think this is a green flag, if you think this green flag, you press 1 in the chat, and that's how you vote. If you think this is a red flag, you press what? 3 in the chat, and that's how you vote. If you think this is a little too complicated to decide, then you put a 4 in the chat, and that's how you vote. So the question is, someone keeps commenting on another person's appearance even when they never respond. Is this a green flag? Is this a yellow flag? Is this a red flag? Or is this complicated? Is their penis? I did not expect that. 2, 3, 2. Okay, so it's like we're oscillating between 2 and 3. Why I don't see the votes coming in? Am I tripping? Did I do something wrong? Let me go back to my widget. I see y'all voting in the chat, but I don't see y'all's votes hitting the thing. And that's a little disappointing. But I can see it in the chat. So I can see it in the chat.
Hey, Darante, can you hear me?
Sure.
Yeah, I see it in the background. I see the 40% and 60% and all that. You're not seeing that?
I'm not, but thank you for letting me know. That makes me feel better. Okay,
Right.
so if I switch to my other computer, I can see it there. Thank you. This is what I like about having live production, y'all. This makes me feel good because, like, my Neurospicy was having a little breakdown right there. Like, the whole universe was trying to be solved at that moment. Beautiful. All right, so we got this coming in, and right now we're at 45 and 55%. 45% of people say this is a yellow flag, and I'd be curious for my yellow flags. And this is not to say you're wrong. This is for you to help give us some content, and some nuance for those who may have said, nah, this is a solid 3, bruh. This is a red flag. Yellow people who voted 3, give us in the chat what doesn't quite make it red yet. Why is it yellow for you? And the same thing for those of you who said red. Nah, hey, this bruh, you doing too much. For those of you who said red, tell us why this is a solid red for you. I want to see it. I want to see it. Man, 4, because who's to say they even told the person in the question? Hey, I like that. I bounce people out of the wine bar behind that shit. Oh, this weekly. Oh, yeah. I can see that happening at a bar a lot. I can say how fine the dude is and never tell him, you not wrong, Brittany. You is not wrong. Zern, you're like the voice of God. That was perfect, right? Ignorance is not malicious. Ignorance is not malicious. Being dense is not a deal breaker, but you need to find out more context to tell. I like that. For me, it's a red flag because if someone's constantly commenting on appearance, positively or negatively, it means they place a lot of weight or value on the physicality of appearance. And it would make me think that they don't value things of a person's personality. Yes. Yellow because they weren't told to stop. If they're continuing after a boundary was set, then it's a problem. That is a good piece of missing nuance. Yes, yellow because they weren't told to stop. And what do we talk about? Healthy communication. What do we just say? It's communication. And we have to, I think the onus is on us creating environments where people feel okay and safe to say no and stop. Full stop. Just across the spectrum. If someone says no, other than it being a life-saving opportunity for you, like it's going to save your life or you're going to die other than that, they don't owe you anything else. The moment a person says no or the moment a person says stop, that's kind of like the end of the rodeo. But unfortunately, we live in a society where you say no and someone's like, why? Stop. Well, why can't I? And it's like, whoa, like this is problem. This is problematic. I love that. Flirting is a 2 players game, and silence is often a sign that the person doesn't want to play it with you. You is not wrong. Red flag because if I never responded clearly, they are unable to read the room. It's creepish to keep trying when someone is not receptive. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Richard says, I value persistence. There's this scene in this show called Superstore where they're talking about rape culture and what is the word? Grooming culture. And they're talking about this thing of where men would consistently ask a woman out on a date over and over and over and over and over again until they, eventually wore down. Like even when I was growing up, that was Steve Steve Urkel's thing with Laura Winslow, I'm wearing you down, mama. I'm wearing you down, or whatever, So he said his thing. But so while they're having this episode, they're talking about it in the show, and the manager, I wish I could remember his name right now, Glenn, the manager Glenn starts thinking about his own relationship with his wife, and he was like, oh man, I think that's what I did to Jerisha. And so he has to call his wife, and he says, no, you were my victim. And it's hilarious as all get out, because what it does is it takes something that many people in Western society knew was a norm. Grooming people, wearing people down, being persistent was at one point a cultural norm, and now put it in a very comedic way in a conversation like, how does a person sit with that today, knowing that the person that they built this 30-year marriage with, it's technically a person in today's climate that would be considered their victim. But that's that persistence thing. Okay, I love it. It just took me there. Oh man. Put their nose, it's no one else's business, but everyone feels to put their nose in there. Very true on flirting. I don't know how many times something like this is going on in the bar, and one of us has to kind of step in and say, hey, they're not into you. You need to back off. Because so many people end up kind of froze. That is so true. Again, like I think that happens because we've created a culture. Like, okay, let me speak for, and not speak for, let me speak from the verbalized perspective of many Black women in the entertainment industry. That the most dangerous word that could be used to describe you as a Black woman, according to what has been verbalized by Black women in the entertainment industry, the most dangerous word that could be used to describe you is difficult. Oh, she was difficult to work with. And the difficult, come on now, because I've been described as difficult. And what you found out is that difficult is often attached to a scenario where somebody said no, right? And so we've created cultural societies. I mean, we've created these kind of, I'm looking for a better phrasing for this, but we've created this undercurrent in culture that doesn't make it safe for people to say no. And I think we are becoming more and more aware of it, but we're not becoming more aware of what the long-term implications of having such a culture like that in the first place. So then awareness simply is not enough. And so we do have to have people like you who are being willing, pragmatic humanists, to intervene. We need people who are willing to intervene. And then we also need people who are willing to support people in creating, and I don't know how it happens. I'm theorizing now. I don't even want to say theorizing. I'm guessing at an undereducated level right now. So I don't know how it happens, but we have to become intentional about making it easier for people to say no. And without no, like no is not a confrontation. No is not me being difficult. No is not me creating an argument. No is me giving you my answer. But when we've created a culture where no can lead to, well, they're being difficult. No can lead to where they're just being bitchy. No can lead to where they're just not down with the rest of us. No, they just haven't deconstructed purity culture yet. And so we have a lot of work to do. And we're still at 45, 55. So I like that. Oh man. Just feel too awkward to clearly say no. Yes. I said red because I was imagining someone being pushy and evaluating a person's appearance. Some people are too shy to say stop, so non-response should be seen as a no in this context. I'm with it. I am with it. Just feels so awkward to clearly say no. Yeah. Persistence can be welcomed for sure, and there are things to throw up when it's being received well. Wearing a woman down is such a gross idea. It really is. To actually think about for any amount of time. Go back and watch so many rom-coms. Isn't the weird persistence such a key plot point in many of them? It very much is. It very much is. Superstore is an amazing show. Yes, like we need to have a Superstore, like just like watch show, like I don't know, and maybe a Good Place watch show. Most rom-coms overglorify codependent, unhealthy relationships as sacred and holy. Do not take more advice for a relationship. That is so true. Well, I realized like, and this is something that I used to talk about like maybe 6 or 7 years ago, that and not to sound all like dark, but I'm like, I think we have a romantic fragility problem in the West. I don't know what's going on with other places, but I think in the West, because we've inundated ourselves with so much programming about life. Like, so it's not like just anime, like it's life. It's not all action packed. It's not all Marvel movies. It's life. We have rom-coms, and these things do shape. And again, these are things that we could not have possibly, we weren't in position to properly predict, but exposing younger generations to 120 plus channels, and that number, and the number of content on those 120 plus channels are now conflated even further with additional apps and with additional content. And all of that is becoming primary programming for how we perceive ourselves and others in the world. And it gives us language for things like, you broke my heart. There's language like that. And so now, if my heart is broken, how am I supposed to respond? Well, I have nothing in nature that really teaches me how to respond to a broken heart, but I have plenty of television shows, I have plenty of movies, and I have plenty of songs that tell me what I should be doing with my broken heart and tell me how I should be feeling about my broken heart. And I think that has led to a lot of what I call romantic fragility over here on this side. So yes, y'all, please do not take your relationship advice from television, especially not Tyler Perry. Stop doing that. Okay. Now, if you want to take, I was going to say some production advice from Tyler Perry, but no, no, like you got to find something else, but no, don't take your relationship advice from any of Tyler Perry movies. Please don't do that. Or any other movies is the big point. I'm just singling Tyler Perry out because it's funny and I know you're laughing right now. I can see you laughing. I'm looking at you. You didn't know I could see you? I'm just playing. Let's go. Okay, let me get back over into this chat because we got to get to the next poll. I think persistence is okay if the other person is open to the chase. Otherwise, it can just come off as creepy. Yep. And there's that thing. That's the complexity part that we often try to get away from, is that different people like different things. So there are some people who may say, I kind of like to be chased. And my thing in that context, if I was still out in the dating world, I'm like, oh, you're gonna have to say that then. No, that's just me. And I'm not saying everybody has to do that. I'm telling you, like, what I would do if I was in a dating world. Like, hey, are you feeling me or not? Because like, in the Me Too environment, I don't want to send the wrong signals here. And so I just like being chased. Okay, all right, game on. But I just needed that needed the game to be activated in some sense. And that's the biggest point right here, right? My goal is not for any of us to leave this conversation locked in or having our minds changed based off of anything that anybody else shares. But my goal is for us all to have more things to think about as we approach these ideas. Oh, for sure. I said no a lot as a freelancer. Saying no to clients was pretty good for me to do. Yes. As a person who used to freelance, I 100% get that. It's funny because online men claim that being feminine means you are agreeable. Ain't that funny? That is very, very funny. And like I watched a clip a few years ago. It was after I deconverted, but they had put it up about Bishop Jakes, where he was talking about women were becoming too or something like, I think men were becoming too feminine or women becoming too masculine, the other way around. And it is like, when I was listening to what he was describing, I'm like, this isn't describing femininity or masculinity at all. You're describing childishness. And why you are attributing that to femininity is just mind blowing to me. But that was But it's mind blowing in the sense that how people don't see how women get infantilized in Black churches, and then even further so in the culture. Man, yep. When you don't put up with people's shit and you keep your integrity, they label you dangerous. They damn sure do. They damn sure do. Authority is the practice of making it hard for people to say no to you. I like that. Yeah, no as a clarification rather than confrontation. And that's so good. Because isn't that like when you are afraid to say no? Like, and let's talk about it. Maybe you're not afraid to say no about anything sexually. Let's think about the things you are afraid to say no about. Like maybe your best friend asks you to borrow some money and you know that they are financially irresponsible. Like what makes you afraid of saying no to them, right? And once we think about that, I think we can see the bigger issue is what makes us often afraid of no is unwarranted confrontation. So now I shift the conversation from unwarranted solicitation to unwarranted confrontation, because no does that sometimes. Like that's the reality. I cannot right now. I can't, I can't give you a world where no will never lead to confrontation. Can't do it. I can't. But that is the fear, is that the no, instead of being seen as clarification, instead of being received and respected as clarification of my standing in this party, you know what I'm saying? It becomes an invite to greater confrontation, which to me is further violation. If there was a no for the original request, then to escalate it to confrontation is further violation. It's like, damn, you really can't respect no, huh? But we do have a culture where no is often seen as a negative judgment against the other person. And in a society where we've created this romantic fragility, where the most terrifying thing for some men in the United States is to be rejected by a stranger. Talk about mommy issues, right? Like your biggest fear, like you can't handle being rejected by somebody you just met 15 seconds ago. That's not healthy. And that's a part of that romantic fragility. Well, sure, of course they were supposed to like me. I was nice at the bar. I had really good game. And it's like, none of that means nothing. That's a whole individual over there. There's no hocus pocus there's no open sesame that just makes legs open for you. And if there was, that would be called rape. I'm sorry. I'm just making it clear. So, okay, no, but I love it. I love it. Think about how people treat their kids. Oh, can't even have their no's be respected. So you grow up learning no causes problems. Thank you, Brittany, for highlighting that. Okay, because that's not even something that I was thinking about. But yeah, so this is how far back this discomfort with no. Have you ever? I should have made this a poll question. Like, how many of you were able to say no to your parents? How many of you were able to say no to adults, period? All right. Authority in this society comes with the benefit of not having to be told no. It sometimes get couched in language like respect your elders. And like, oh no, you don't say no to them. Oh man. So no, that fear of saying no, it's that confrontation, man. This is so good. I hope I can get to the next poll. All right. I just keep thinking of Twilight, and don't get me wrong, I love Twilight, but I recognize it's toxic as hell. Super toxic. Let me tell you the number one reason Twilight is toxic. I'm going to tell you the number one reason Twilight is toxic. Vampires don't glitter, okay? No, that's wrong. I'll die on that hill. That was the end. Done. He's not a vampire. I don't know what these people are. Why are they sparkling? I watched Interview with the Vampire. Brad Pitt didn't sparkle. Tom Cruise didn't sparkle. Antonio Banderas did not sparkle. Kirsten Dunst did not sparkle. She turned to ashes, but she did not sparkle. Vampires, I repeat, do not sparkle. Okay? They are not glitter fairies. That felt a little bigoted. I don't want to call them glitter fairies. That just feels wrong. That just feels wrong. I felt it when I said it. I felt it. I heard it. Okay. But no, sorry for the Twilight tangent. sorry for the Twilight tangent. I'm always paying attention because I don't tolerate that. Come on now, in the air I breathe. That's beautiful. I won't allow for violations of consent in a space I'm in also. Just won't. Non-negotiable. We need more people like that in the world. It can be extremely unsafe to say no or to talk to the person in general. Wow. You know, like, and it can be, right? It can be. That's the real thing. There are people who said no and got choked. I'm not talking about a specific incident. That's just happened in real life. That's happened. There are people who said no and didn't get to see tomorrow. And that's really a power dynamic problem. I'm like, you owe me your yes. Why? I don't even know you. That's one of my favorite lines. Like, I don't, and you Hoppo, who this? You know? Okay. Such a great point. Some are raised to always hush and unable to set healthy boundaries, even with family members. After a no, it's body shaming. Alan, I've seen that. Movies and music really shape how you expect love to be seen and how you expect to experience a broken heart. Yes. Don't you get me started on Tyler Perry. Oh, man, stop idolizing the rich, for sure. Vampire Diaries for relationship advice. I tried to watch Vampire Diaries. I did. I was just like, I think I'm too old for this one. This one, it feels like Vampire, like it feels like 90210. I don't know. Music and movies also take broken heart as a good excuse to completely lose one's shit. That is 100% accurate. Perform crime and property damage, become totally socially unacceptable, and that's normal. That is so true. Well, you know, he broke her heart, so she shot him, and like that's why you can't play with people's hearts. And it's just like, wow. That's how we just gonna toe that line? Okay. All right. I agree, Shy. I need a clearly defined I'm into you, or this is just fun, playful banter between friends. 100%. Like, nah, I need the contract. I need the contract. Essentialism as a philosophy is a blight on our society. Darante, Tyler Perry movies as a whole discussion. It is a whole discussion itself. His movies always telling women to go to church and pray about it, and so many more problematic issues. Yes. Dang, I didn't realize how active this chat got. Dang. Okay, shoot. I'm not going to be able to catch up with all of this, y'all. Talking about infantilizing women. Ever hear about the baby voice that's so common in churches? That's wow, JW Mormon circles where women speak in high, soft, kid-like voices to be feminine. Man. Rejection is a very uncomfortable feeling. It is. Say no to black parents. Okay. Dang it, I didn't realize y'all it went this hard. Or maybe I had went that long. Okay. So let's get to our next poll question. Let's get to the next one. Let me stop this one. Because I want to get y'all out of here on time. Next poll question is, I'm gonna start and I'm gonna show. All right. And I actually need to get back to my notes. All right. So the first one was someone keeps commenting on other looks. This one, a leader sends flirtatious messages to members without a mutual relationship. A leader sends flirtatious messages to a member without a mutual relationship. So let's just say you just joined Bird City, you just joined the local campus, you've introduced yourself in the new members introduction area, you've started taking your courses and stuff like that, and all of a sudden you get you to get a message from somebody saying, "Hey, I really love your profile pic. I mean, you look really handsome." Like, oh, and you start getting a lot of messages like that. It seems like we all seem to be locked in on this one, right? Are we locked in? I think this is the first 100% I've seen. This is the first 100% I've seen us do. This is obviously a red flag, right? This is a no. Like, hey, don't do this. If you sign up to do anything in Bridge City, don't do this. Now, please understand, I'm a nice person. I'm easygoing. I don't exercise any authority over other people. But like, if you do something like this, it's big enough of an issue that it has to be a larger conversation. And your access has to be like completely restricted from DMing anybody after that. And then we got to go through probational stuff. And then we got to figure out if you're a creep or not. And like, that's a lot of work. So please don't do that. Even if it's authentic, it's a bad look. It's a bad look. Yes. Chi-Town beatdown. Come on. It's creepy, it's inappropriate, and illegal. Yes, do not do this because power changes the meaning of the interaction, right? Power changes the meaning of the interaction. You always and this is just a leadership lesson, man. This is a leadership lesson. Being a good leader is not how you lead others. And I often tell people that leadership is not about what you can do with other people. Leadership is what you can do with yourself. Hey, boy, this is so good. This is so good. Leadership is what you can do with yourself. You know, that's how other people end up trusting you because they see how you're able to lead with your life. And so one thing that I'd caution anybody about who joins any organization, position doesn't automatically mean safe. You know, people are able to get in all types of roles. People are able to get into all type of positions. Never let somebody's role give you borrowed certainty for their character. And this is why I'm a firm believer that you don't know anyone until you know them. If you don't actually know them, you do not know them. We got one person with a green flag. I feel like y'all being funny. I feel like y'all being funny. But no, you don't actually know them. So as a leader, I'd encourage you in all contexts to be aware of how your power dynamic in any situation impacts the interaction, you know? And again, it's also like in colleges, universities have dealt with these issues for a long time of finding different ways to understand what those power dynamics are and like what's not acceptable. But like this is a red flag because you have no outside relationship with this person. And that's the thing. If you got outside relationship with this person, why are you DMing them on the global campus? Don't do that. Okay, sorry. Yep, exactly. Sliding into a DM from a position of leadership is all around a bad setup. Yep. So just slide into the DMs, but yeah, just slide. Hey, I saw you were good looking. Like that's not a good sign. Like that's not even a good judgment call for you. You saw somebody's picture and now you ready to risk it all. Like I'm concerned about you at that moment. Like, is this how you make your decisions? This is how you you just see a picture and you'd go directly for the DMs. Are you 16? Is that what's going on here? I'm sorry. Oh, you know what? What about a member sliding into the leadership's DMs? That is dang, and that's such a fair question. That's such a fair question, and that is one that I am ill-equipped to answer. Like, damn, because I can see it. Yeah, that a member slips into your DM first, and you the leader, and it's like, oh, this fair game now. Like they came to me. Like, nah, it's still like I think I would probably we're gonna have to bring out get all of our college professors to talk about how you handle stuff like that. That is so good. Position gives the opposite of safe. Unless they got their position by involuntarily appointment, they chose position that gives them power. And that state, come on, yeah. And that says be cautious when interacting with them. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yellow flag. That's funny. Oh, man. No. Oh, no, that was me. I said, missed the part was about a leader. Okay. Okay. Man. Yeah. So I think we pretty much agree. Like, this one is definitely a red flag. And the thing about this one, and remember, I opened this up saying, hey, red flag doesn't mean you know everything about somebody's character. It doesn't mean you know everything about somebody's intention. It doesn't even, like, a person could have done this with the honest of intentions. A person could easily say, oh my goodness, she was beautiful. And I read her intro and she said she was single and looking. So I just wanted to be the first person to shoot my shot. And it's just like, you just got to remember, since you're a leader here, you don't get to shoot that particular shot. That's not what you signed up to do. You didn't sign up to shoot your shots. You know, let me stop. Oh man. And that was funny because that one's making me think about a lot of things, but that's a part of what led to this conversation series in the first place, is that if we're going to build a community that is sexually safe, and if we're going to build a community that is sexually open, then we have to figure out what safety and openness actually looks like. And this isn't a new wrestle. Organizations have been wrestling with this for a long time. But the only difference is most of those wrestles was based on religious superstition as opposed to humanity, you know? Oh, yes. It's probably still inappropriate if it's the other way around. It's still a bad look. The optics of the situation are affected by the power dynamics either way. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Are y'all ready for the next one? Let's go. All right. I keep clicking the wrong thing to get here. All right. So we're going to stop this one. Beautiful. And next poll, I'm putting it up. I'm showing it. Someone calls others prudish after being asked not to direct sexual jokes at them. Is this a green flag? Is this a yellow flag? Is this a red flag? Or is this complicated? So the situation is, someone is telling sexual jokes and they're directed at one person, and the person asks, hey, you know, I get why you think it's funny, but can you not direct those jokes at me? And the person responds with something along the lines of, why are you being so prudish? You know, you're such a prude. You just still trapped in purity culture. I thought you were more enlightened than that. What kind of flag are y'all calling for this one? I am curious to know. I am curious to know. Let me see how this board is changing. All right. All right. So we have some thoughts. We have some thoughts. Okay. Crossing an explicit barrier is always a red flag. Yep. I see 3. Yep. Yep. So red flags are winning. There is a yellow flag in there, and there is it's complicated. So I do want to hear from my yellow flags and my it's complicated. Talk to us. Let us know. Elaine, the investor, she's like, red flag, red flag, red flag. That's damn near 6 flags, right? You know, this is a red. So like, a person just says, like, look, don't. Can you not direct the jokes at me? And the person responds to the person, well, you just being prudish, ain't you? Ain't you just being stuck up? You know, which I don't know if the person is going that far to say any of that. This is a hypothetical. You can take the person whichever way you like to take them. But in my mind, like, they're like, oh, look at you. Oh, prudish self. I had a coworker who was openly talking about their sexual relationships, and I was labeled as a prude. I just said it wasn't the time and could be seen as sexual harassing multiple coworkers. Yep. A joke is only a proper joke when everyone's laughing. If you tell someone a prude because they're uncomfortable with you sexualizing them and you don't like it, it's not a joke, it's bullying. Yeah. I just think there are situations where people are being a bit too prudish, and it's not to say that I'm going to keep pestering them with sexual jokes, but I don't think there's necessarily something wrong with saying someone is being prudish, even if it stops after that. Okay, now that's That's fair. And this is what I love about these conversations. That's the nuance. So what if the person says, okay, you know what? Oh, that person's approved, and they just leave it alone. And they go off from that. So yeah, I could see that being yellow flag. I could see that being complicated. I could see that. I like that. I like that. It depends on the situation, the context a little bit as well. And there's that thing again that everybody isn't the same. We don't all respond the same way. There are certain things that people can say to me that would absolutely hurt my feelings, and then yet you say them to somebody else and it would not bother them at all. And then there are certain things you could say to me that just would not bother me at all, and yet if you said it to someone else, it ruined their day for like 6 weeks or so. And that's the reality of our complexity. It depends on if prudish is dismissive or a critique. That's so good. I said yellow because people get defensive and say shit when told to stop. If they continue to make the jokes, then it's definitely red. If they say you're prude but stop, it's yellow. I like that. Actually can be predatory in a space like this too. If we are being open and the wrong person comes to seek out people and then try and shame you for not being as open as they saw you before, that is absolutely good. The word prude has its place. It's our opinion that its place is not in direct response to someone stated discomfort. Yeah. In a professional setting, it's unprofessional to say someone else is prudish. Yes. I love this conversation. I love this conversation. And so, do you see how do you see how the diversity of answers are flowing through here? I love this. So this is a red flag. For me, like, and my answer doesn't, like, I'm not vetoing anybody else's answers. I think everybody's answers were fair, and I think they brought some really good nuance to the conversation. Sex positivity should protect consent and boundaries, right? Not shaming people for having them. And that's it's the shaming part that's hard. But then, I think I am prudish in certain areas. And so we could have a deeper conversation about how there just shouldn't be any shame around being prudish. That's another thing. Because that is something that I advocate for. It's kind of like what we talked about last week. I'm all down for pluralism. Some people are going to be freaky, sneaky, sticky dicky. You know what I'm saying? Other people are going to be like, ew, that's nasty. I don't want any of that. That's the reality of where we live. And so it's all kind of a spectrum. So I love this. I love this. Oh, man. Okay. And this is one of the, and this one is one of the most strongest examples of patriarchy with better branding. Because that's what the branding allows you to do. It allows you to label a behavior or to label a result or to label a reaction or a response as something that is not accepted within society. And so again, that's going back to using like Black women in entertainment. And it may not just be Black women. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying Black women in the movie industry have been very verbal about being labeled as difficult, being career ending for them. But like, we use those type of labels. The moment I can find a label to you that the moment I can apply a label to you that I know society rejects, then I get to win temporarily in the narrative of your story. And that's unfortunate because it works always. All right, so we got another one. We got another one. I'm gonna stop this one. I'm gonna hide this one, and then I'm gonna go down to the next one. I'm gonna start it, and I'm gonna show it, and it's starting. It's starting. Check your engines. Someone keeps buying drinks for a person they like while becoming more physically affectionate. I could not fit the word physically in here because of the character limit, but that's what this one is about. Maybe we're at a community event, maybe there's an open bar, and somebody keeps buying drinks for a person that they obviously like. And as more drinks get tilted their way, the person becomes more physically, visibly affectionate with the person that they are buying drinks for at this community event. Is this a green flag, community? What say you? Is this a yellow flag? Is this a red flag or is this a Rick flag? That's a DC joke. I couldn't resist. It's complicated as the last one, which Rick flag is kind of complicated when you think about it. All right. Oh, we got an actual 4. Okay. We got 3. Is Bill Cosby the someone? Oh my goodness. Okay, look. Oh yeah. I'm loving this one. So this one, we got a little bit more movement across the board, and I like seeing that. As a person who loves sociology, these type of responses mirror much more of what I understand about the world, and that is we are a very contextual species. Because you see, we have some people who are like, nah, that's a yellow flag, and then others are like, hell, bro, that's a red flag. That is habanero red, okay? Habanero jalapeno, hell yeah, that's red. And then this is one of the first ones where we have a good amount of people who are like, in all seriousness, this is the word I'm looking for. In all seriousness, this is complicated. This one is a little complicated. So let's see what we have. Maybe they want free drinks. I love that. Needs more context. I think that's the key, right? We don't know their relationship or pre-established relationship. Further observation necessary for a proper answer. Needs way more context. It's behavior to keep on observation. Big red flag because of what drinks and alcohol does. Okay, that's a fair one. This very much depends on the person receiving the drinks. I can definitely see that. Keeps on observing. Same page as Ashley on this one. We don't have the necessary information yet, but it's a green flag for me because I love drinks, and you're going to be mad when I turn into the Hulk, which is why I don't drink like that no more. Oh, snap. Which that kind of goes back to what Jude said. It very much depends on the person receiving the drinks. Because I'm going to tell you something. I do know some sisters that will drink you under the table. We are behavioral shapeshifters. It's how we got to each other, each corner of the globe. Of course, we are context dependent. Absolutely. Lowering my defenses with alcohol can possibly be a boundary issue. Come on. I feel like I so like free drinks though. This is too good, y'all. This is too good. I don't start drinking unless I am comfortable with how I will act when drunk. That's such a good rule to live by. I know I'm very funny when I drink. Y'all do know y'all can say no to the drinks. You can say no, you know. Unless it is Bill Cosby giving you the drinks. I think your no might go out with the Quaaludes. I don't know how they work. Let me stop. Actually, I did know about Quaaludes, not because of Bill Cosby, not because of personal experience. I knew about Quaaludes because I watched the movie The Wolf of Wall Street, which I thought was incredibly done. I know it has nothing to do with Bill Cosby, but Quaaludes were in it. So that's an intersection. That's an intersection. It works. If I'm consistently accepting drinks, I'm likely interested. If I say no, then cut it out. That's such a good point. That's such a good point. Well, I don't want to be rude to say no to free drinks. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm probably never saying no to free drinks. Hello, you're probably gonna get me. Actually, I could tell you this story. And tell you the story. This was like maybe 12, 13 years ago. Man, dang, I'm old. And I was sitting out with someone who was my former assistant. This is around the time that I was deconstructing. And I was at his apartment. He had got locked out of his apartment. And so he was just sitting outside, and I was sitting outside with him. And we just sitting outside, smoking cigarettes and smoking weed, just sitting outside, just chilling, just talking about the good old times and stuff. And so we're sitting out there, and this lady, she drives by in a truck, and like she's driving over the land that's not the parking lot. And I'm like, what has she got going on? And at first, she drives by and she like, y'all need to go somewhere and do something. Y'all ain't got nothing better to do. And in my mind, I'm like, fuck you. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's where my mind go immediately. And she drive off. And she going about her business. And I'm like, you see how they do, they don't even know us and just talking about us like this. You know what I'm saying? And so she drives off, and then like an hour later, because we stuck outside for a very long time, but it's the South and we do stuff like that. And after a while, she come on back through there. She drive, y'all still out here? Y'all ain't found nothing better to do. And, of course, I'm laughing it off on the outside, but on the inside, I'm like, fuck you. You know what I'm saying? And so then she goes on back to her apartment, and she I don't know where her truck went, but she gets back over there, and then she steps back outside of her apartment, and she say, hey, y'all like beer? And I'm like, well, I've been known to enjoy a cold one every now and then. He's like, y'all come on over. I'll give y'all a glass of cold beer. And I'm like, a can of cold beer. And I'm like, cool. So we go over there, and she shows you all this beer. She's like, y'all like whiskey? And I'm like, well, listen, I'm not one to brag, but I am a connoisseur of drinking strong spirits. And then she was like, I also have some moonshine. And I'm like, good googly moogly, we've hit the jackpot. And then so she's showing us all this stuff, and she's pouring us up the drinks, and then she's giving us a little to go bags for when we get ready to go. And then I really stop and think, and I look at my friend because she's going to get the drinks, and I say, hey, bro, I think we might be about to be Bill Cosby. I think that's what's about to be. I think that's what's about to happen here. But interestingly enough, she wasn't trying to Bill Cosby us. Not at all. She was just a sweet old lady that saw two, young men outside in the hot sun and said, here, let me give y'all some alcohol to drive your blood pressure up sitting out here in the hot sun. I guess that's how that went. Okay, so I'm back. Let me look at these comments. I like that this one was split so much. Only chocolate cake, man. A burger won't do it. That is too fun. Yeah, she was not successful. Yeah, like I am definitely the kid that could have been easily kidnapped. Like it would have been too easy. Hell, I am the adult that could be easily kidnapped. You want to kidnap me, pull up in a van and say, hey, we got some moonshine. I'm in there. I'm a country bumpkin. I don't know what to tell you, bro. Like I'm from the South. Let me stop. The casserole war. What did I miss? Yeah, I'm not turning down no snacks at the bar. I agree, y'all. I so agree. I drank more as a believer than I do now as a non-believer. It tells you how much I thought God was watching. Man. Oh, man. Zernu said, I don't drink, but free slices of chocolate cake might get access to me that had been otherwise non-existent. Oh, my goodness. I would have been a Navy man in the 1800s. Oh, this is too much. Please do. I have to know about the casserole wars. Okay. All right. So let me see. Because we got to get up out of here, y'all. Like, dang, I didn't expect this to be this good. I mean, I kind of did. But like, nah, this has been great. So let's get these next two questions out the way, and then I'm gonna let y'all go. And of course, like, I'm not holding y'all. If you need to go, you can go. So let's move on to this next one. I'm gonna stop this poll. I'm gonna hide this poll, and I'm gonna start this one, and I'm gonna show it. And this one is, someone asked directly if flirting is welcome or if things should stay friendly. Is this one a green flag? Is it a yellow flag? Is it a vibrant red, crimson flag? Or is it complicated? Someone asked directly if flirting is welcome or if things should stay friendly. They just ask, They're not slapping anybody on the cheeks. They're just asking, hey, is flirting welcome here, or should we keep this friendly? I actually like that question. So I'm curious, where are y'all landing with this one? Is it green? Look at there. Y'all are so progressive, just so forward thinking. But no, this one is pretty much cut and dry, right? It's the easy one. It's like, no, because what do we say? What is healthy sexual communication? It's healthy communication. Oh, wait a minute. There is a 4. There is, and it's complicated. and I got to hear from you just with that. It's complicated. Is that Bob for it's complicated? Bob, I have to have your insights on this. I have to have your insight. 1 out of the friend zone. Yeah. No problem communicating. That's right. Seeking consent. Yes. Power imbalance. Oh, now okay, now we can take it to yes. If there is a power imbalance present, that does change the context. Oh, snap. That does change the context. Boy, like but being in power, like being in leadership or having any type of responsibility, it's like having golden handcuffs on. Like, no, there could be a power imbalance there. And it's possible to ask in a way that's creepy, but as a general rule, direct communication is a great idea. So true. So true. This is good. This is good. All right, so we seem to be pretty straight across the board on this one. All right, so let's move to the next one. Da-da-da. See, I like green flags. We haven't gotten a lot of green flags in this one. And we're going to be playing with these scenarios again on the 5th Sunday. So be on the lookout for that. All right. So here's another one. Am I showing it? I am. Someone says you led me on after flirting doesn't become romantic or sexual. Where does that land? Somebody says, oh, you just led me on because we were flirting, but then the flirting, you didn't become my boyfriend after that, or you didn't become my girlfriend, or my sneaky link, or whatever else the kids are calling it. My friends with benefits. We were flirting, but it did not become sexual. What? You led me on. Is that a green flag kind of statement? Is that a yellow flag? Is this red flag? Again, Rick flag? Is this complicated? Yeah, see, this is going through this. Okay, all right, I'm seeing it. Let me go to the version of it that I can actually see. 3 and 4 oscillating back and forth between that red flag and that complication. Not so much yellow flag in this one. It's either a red flag or it's complicated. I like that. I like that. 4 mile way, complicated. Yep, complicated. Okay. All right, let's see here. So let's talk about it. What is it? Here, 2 serious yellow flags. Flirting is not there it is. Flirting is not an automatic prerequisite to a relationship. As established last time, flirting is extremely subjective. Some folk are just being nice. It is a mutual red flag. Both sides should seek someone else. I like that. I love that. I'm saying 3 mostly due to some shitty personal experiences just to admit my bias. Yep. Oh, man. For me, context, perhaps it was led on, perhaps it wasn't. Okay, what kind of flirting are we talking about? That's that. Yeah, okay, I'm there. Number 3, reversing victim and offender. Ooh, yes, that's a whole thing right there. Like there's so much to unpack in the reversing victim and offender. Cool, that feels good. I like that. I feel like it's not uncommon for some people to use flirting to get other things. So I just think you can get so complicated. It can get so complicated so fast. That is so true. I've learned that some flirting is just for fun for some people with no intention behind it. It doesn't mean that they are leading someone on, but it does mean communication isn't clear and bilateral. And what have we been kind of talking about as a theme in this conversation? Like, what does it take to have healthy sexual communication? Is that there actually have to be healthy communication. Like, what do you think of catfishing or pig butcher scams? They use flirting as a weapon. Yeah, like I think, like I don't know if you can ask me my opinion on catfish because I feel like it's going to be more comical than substantive. Because I'm just going to think about the show. I'm thinking about the show, and I am so arrogant that I think I could never be catfished. Like I just think like I could never be catfished. So I'm biased there. I only flirt with my preacher. Oh man. Yellow flag because culture as a whole can misinform people. Yeah, and complicate shit. We need more education and communication around acceptable social norms and communication. Yes. Ashley, you really didn't know there's a show called Catfished? You're playing with me. You are kidding me. I'm almost tempted to make you get in the studio so we can talk about this because that's wild to me. Like I've met people who have used flirting as some sort of self-esteem booster. That's right. And see, now this takes us back to that preemptive assumption that if you come from a world where flirting always means sex, you can't even imagine a world where flirting just means fun for some people. And that kind of takes us back to Shai's point about the importance here is really education and conversations. But it's so funny that the sex conversation, when we talk about sex ed, the sex conversation often just gets reduced to condoms and babies. And it's like there is so much more complexity to this than just STDs and little babies. There's so much more going on here. Oh, I'm terrified now. Y'all are too funny. You're funny. All right. So I would say this is a red flag, but I do agree that that it also could be complicated. Enjoying attention is not a contract. That's probably the strongest thing I can say there. Flirting is not consent. Like interests can change. Someone could be absolutely consenting for the flirting arrangement, but not be consenting for stage 2 or how you presume that. That's why the best advice that I can typically give, and please don't take any advice from me, but it's just the language that I'm using when I say it, is consent is something that has to be there like along the way. You have to let's update the consent just to make sure. I know we just got started 5 minutes ago, but is this still okay? I'm being a little facetious and tongue in cheek with it, but I hope y'all understand. But nobody owes escalation because they were friendly or playful, and that's just a whole new worldview. Is that no, me playing with you doesn't mean I'm gonna play house with you, and that's again, it goes to communication. Now, if you're that type of person where flirting only leads to one place, then I don't think there's anything wrong with you becoming the type of person to make that clear, because then you may need to be the person to bow out of the flirting game. You hey, if I'm flirting, I'm gonna be expecting something on the other end. So I just need to know right now, is that a territory you're interested in engaging in? And that person can say no, and you can say, okay, cool, then I'm going to politely decline from flirting any further then, because I don't want to get the signals mixed up. I think it's okay to do that. Just let them know nah, I'm a different type of flirt. You a fun flirt. I wanted to say R. Kelly flirt because he had a song called Flirt, maybe, and all the manner of things are possible. Should we take this position as a default, though? It is possible. Like sex itself, check in with the other repeatedly and be prepared to cool it if there is no enthusiastic consent. Yes, it really is that way. It's a check in, and it sounds so foreign to us, but that's how conversation works. That's how communication works. We have to keep at it. We have to keep talking to each other. We have to keep getting not only that consent, but that consideration. You know what I'm saying? Dang, this is good. All right. And I think we have one more poll. We actually have two more, but I can't get through all of these because we're already 2 hours in. So I'm only going to do one more poll. One more poll. Stop. Hide. Shut them down doing suicides. That's not how it goes, but I had to do it. It was too tempting. All right. So someone claims censorship. No, that's not the one I wanted to go to. We're not gonna do that. We're not gonna do that. Okay, we'll do this one. Here we go. Someone asks a person out, accepts no respectfully, and does not bring it up again. Is this a green flag? Is this a yellow flag? Is this a red flag? Or is this complicated? Is this complicated? Maintenance is required for anything that persists here. That is so true. That's one thing I don't think we're really good at. All right, I see the votes coming in. Let's see. Oh, yeah. This is another one that looks like it's strong across the board. And I love seeing them strong across the board. This is a green flag. Why do you think this is a green flag? Why do you say this is a green flag? What makes this green for you? What makes this green for you? 3 as the person being talked to. Oh, hell yeah, green flag. We can see how it could get complicated, but without further context, this is just someone respecting no. Yep. I think the more respectful someone can be with no, the safer I feel. The safer I feel. Man, sometimes being real cool with that no might flip that bad boy to a yes. You just don't understand. All right, so now I'm giving player advice. Forgive me, I'm not supposed to be giving player advice. Not supposed to be doing that. But no, a respectful no is beautiful. You know, I love something, let it go. Yes, it's respectful acceptance. Awkwardness is not predation. Misreading a signal is not automatically harmful, and that's why clarifying is such a good idea. The decisive factor is how the person responds to the no. And if a person hears the no and moves away and is just like, oh no, I'm sorry, thank you for letting me know, I totally respect that, then man, that's one hell of a green flag, you know. Respect can be really uplifting. It really can. It shows maturity, and maturity is attractive. It is. The last question, I'm not going to do it because I've already taken up too much of your time, but the last question was, and y'all can answer it in the chat if you want to, I won't put it on the screen, but if someone keeps touching another person even after they keep moving away, is that green flag? Is that yellow flag? Is that red flag? Or is that complicated? I'll be looking at your stuff in the chat as we go. As we close out today. A big point to kind of take away from today is that, predators often hide inside ambiguity. Predators are often shaped inside of ambiguity. I see the red flags already. That's crimson. The crimson red flag is the flags. That's a fist in the face. Come on, Elaine. Yes. Blood red flag. Oh, man. Come on now. Yes. And in conversations like these, and I think that's why we've sat in this for so long, is because it's helping us understand what we want our culture to look like as a community. That's what we're learning from each other, is how we view this space, So not every awkward sexual interaction is predatory. Not every misread signal is malicious, but predatory behavior often thrives in environments where people refuse to clarify boundaries, protect vulnerable people, or challenge charismatic people. Sexual liberation without boundaries doesn't produce freedom. It produces access for the most entitled people in the room. If your version of sex positivity makes people afraid to say no, uncomfortable saying stop, or embarrassed to name discomfort, that's not liberation. The difference between a sexually open space and sexually unsafe space is not whether sex is discussed. It's whether people are still free to say no, to slow down, to opt out, to name discomfort, and remain fully respected afterward. Because sexual liberation without boundaries does not create freedom. It creates access for the most entitled person in the room. And so these conversations become important because it helps us pick the roles we want to play, pick how we want to help, pick how we want to contribute to creating healthier cultures. How do we want to play a role in clarifying boundaries? How do we want to play a role in protecting vulnerable people? And how do we want to play a role in challenging charismatic people? And just real talk, as a community like ours, as a community that has real aspirations to build fast growing chapters and campuses everywhere that we can, it is best for us, wise for us, to get ahead of this conversation. It is probably not a good practice for us to think that we're just so good, we'll never have to worry about these issues. These issues will arise, and we will need to be prepared to handle them as humans. We'll need to be prepared to handle them with the same nuance that we were able to sit in today. But the key is not waiting for something to happen. The key is to start building the culture, the climate, and the conversation right now. And so I hope y'all have gotten something beautiful from this conversation today. Now I'm going to hand it over to our next steps. And of course, hopefully I get to see you back next weekend. And if I don't see you back next weekend, maybe I'll see you in the songwriting session that Jude is hosting this Tuesday. Check out the Global Campus. And hopefully we'll see you on the Global Campus because, hey, life is popping off there. We're not just connecting. We're not just building. Baby, we're trying to live better. All right, I love y'all. Now it's over to Jude for next steps.
What an incredible session. Today, we're just scratching the surface of what it means to have brave, honest, non-judgmental conversations about sex, sexuality, intimacy, desire, shame, secrecy, consent, boundaries, and relational complexity beyond purity culture, patriarchal conditioning, religious guilt, pop culture distortion, and performative liberation. So I want to hear from you. What was your light bulb moment today? Drop it in the comments right now, or head over to the Commons on the Global Campus to keep the conversation going. Speaking of moving the conversation forward, if you're making the decision to officially join Bridge City today, let me be the first to say, welcome to the Bridge. We don't believe in gatekeeping community. If you found freedom here, if this conversation gave you language for something you've carried quietly, or if you're looking for a space where people can think honestly, without shame doing all the talking, you belong here. Your first step is to follow the link on the screen. That's your portal to the Global Campus where you can transition from spectator to builder. And one of the best ways to start is through our free new member onboarding course. We've made your pathway easy with brief learning tracks that break down our mission, our model, and how to navigate the campus. By the time you finish your next step, you won't just know about Bridge City, you'll know how to plug in, build relationships, and make an impact. Joining gives you access to member spaces, community conversations, specialized circles, and resources designed to help you connect better, build better, and live better. If you're ready to bridge the gap between where you are and where you're going, click that link. We can't wait to see you there. For the rest of us, if you value these weekly sessions and believe that post-religious community is worth building, let's create an opportunity for generosity. Your giving is about fueling the mission. It makes this space accessible, sustainable, and scalable. And right now, one of our major focuses is supporting local events that seed local community. Because conversations like this shouldn't only happen online. There are people in cities, campuses, living rooms, coffee shops, and community spaces who are searching for a place to think freely, heal honestly, and build relationships without religious shame or supernatural pressure. When you give, help us scale the bridge. You help us support watch parties, local meetups, community events, and real-world gatherings where people can move from isolation into association. We don't use guilt, we don't manipulate people into giving, and we don't promise supernatural rewards. We simply believe that if this mission matters, it deserves support. So whether it's weekly, monthly, or whenever you're able, your generosity helps us reach further, serve better, and build stronger. The link and QR code are on the screen. Thank you for making a statement of support today. You're helping this vision move from concept to community. And finally, of course, don't keep this to yourself. A bridge is only as effective as the places it goes. There are people right now searching for post-religious community. People who are trying to recover their bodies from shame. People who are trying to understand intimacy without purity culture, and people who are trying to build relationships without fear, secrecy, control, or inherited guilt. And some of them do not need another sermon. They need a safe, honest place to think. So, share the replay. It's got a pretty banger song. Invite someone to the Global Campus, where I run vocal workshops occasionally. Start a conversation, host a watch party. Let somebody know that life beyond religious superstition doesn't have to mean life without community. So let's reach the world together. Thank you for joining us this weekend for the NSFW series. This is not the easiest conversation to have, and that's exactly why it matters. Sex, sexuality, and relational complexity deserve more than silence, fear, jokes, judgment, or recycled purity culture. So I hope today gave you something to think about, something to question, something to name, and maybe even something to handle with more care. To our visitors, I hope this conversation gave you something to carry with you this week. Remember, The first time, you're a visitor. The second time, you're a guest. And the third time, you're as good as family. We can't wait to see you back here next weekend as we continue creating brave, honest, non-judgmental space for people moving beyond religious superstition toward human flourishing. To our members, don't let the conversation end here. Make sure to check the resource board where you can suggest movies for our monthly movie night, spotlight a charity, and even learn more about the teams making this community possible. There's so much happening behind the scenes to help us keep building better and living better together. And that's all for today, Bridge City. As you head out into your week, remember our core values: forward-thinking, people-centric, and life-affirming. Be forward-thinking enough to question inherited shame. Be people-centric enough to handle vulnerable conversations with care. And be life-affirming enough to build relationships, communities, and futures where people can become more whole, more honest, and more free. So until next time, keep rising, be the bridge.
What's my name, fool? I don't need you to justify my love, to justify my skin, to justify or mystify this human that I'm in. I don't need you to sanctify my purity or defend my security. I am invested in my surety. What's my name? I came already. Can you see me now? Can you see me? Can you feel me now? Can you feel me? Can you hear me now? Can you see me now? What's my your vessel for your shame games. I no longer hold the blame, yeah. What's my name? I'm not your vessel for your same game. I no longer hold the blame. What's my name? I'm not a victim of yours. I'm not a target of yours. I'm not a vessel for your shame. What's my name?